We have some major Bills news to discuss here heading into Week 6, and we got to start with this. Maybe the Bills' most reliable pass catcher so far this season, Dalton Kincaid, wearing a red non-contact jersey at Thursday's practice. We're going to break down the injury news there and all the other news you need to know heading into Week 6 in just a moment. But first, if you guys want Dalton Kincaid to be healthy for Week 6, if you guys want everybody to be healthy for Week 6, at least the guys that we know have a chance at playing, manifest it. Manifest the good vibes and the good health like today's video. Smash the thumbs up icon. What's going on, Mafia? You're watching the Bills Breakdown by Chat Sports. I am your host, Tyler Smith, and Dalton Kincaid dealing with a little bit of an injury after getting banged up in Week 5 against New England. Matt Milano came in with this. Dalton Kincaid was seen practicing on Thursday, but wearing a red non-contact jersey. McDermott said on Monday that he was sore after appearing to injure his hand during the Patriots game. Now, if we take a closer look at what Dalton Kincaid looked like at practice on Thursday, he had tape on his left and middle finger, left middle and ring fingers there, taping those two together. As we couldn't exactly see how he got injured, but we did see him, sitting down on the field there, holding at his hand and wrist area against the Patriots on Sunday night, and he's got those two fingers taped up now. But what's interesting about this injury is he has the red no contact jersey on, and does that mean that the coaching staff doesn't want anybody running into him or getting a jammed finger or something like that? Maybe. But it's interesting that the injury designation that Dalton Kincaid had at Thursday's practice report was an oblique injury. And that's, here, the soreness in maybe the sides of the abdomen there. So I guess he's got a little bit of a hand ding up and something in the abdomen area as well. We'll be monitoring that as we get closer and closer to game time because, man, if the Bills can't get Dalton Kincaid going, then the pass catching is really, really brutal. As far as where Kincaid ranks among tight ends so far this year, he's at the top of the league, 9th in receptions, which kind of correlates with the fact that he's only playing about 50% of the snaps for the Bills. He's gotten less work than a guy like Dawson Knox has, and I think that should be flip-flopped, if not way more, in favor of Kincaid. 2nd in the league in yards at the tight end position, 287 through 5 weeks. First in receptions of 20-plus yards, 6 of them. I think the next most is like 3 or 4. It's ridiculous what this guy can do down the field. And also 4th in yards after the catch per reception. So, I mean, he's awesome. He can beat guys in man coverage. He can win tackle battles after the catch as well and get additional yardage. Like, Kincaid is truly having this breakout season. And I wanted to go to this photo here. We showed you guys a couple of different charts and efficiency metrics for Dalton Kincaid here in a couple of videos we've done so far this week. And this one's kind of an all-encompassing. And shout out to Anthony Cover One here. He said, this is a fun chart for Kincaid from ESPN's receiver scores. These ratings use player tracking data from NFL Next Gen Stats to evaluate every route a pass catcher runs and scores his performance in 3 phases of the game from 0 to 99. So as far as getting open, at the catch point, and yak. And it's crazy because you see Kincaid at a 56 there on yak, even though he's fourth in among tight ends in yards after catch per reception. But as far as getting open, has an 84 rating there and an overall rating of 76. And this is including wide receivers like Puka Nacua, Stephon Diggs, Roma Dunze, Zay Flowers, like even Romeo Doubs and Garrett Wilson are all having really stellar starts to the season at the receiver position, and Kincaid is ranking amongst them all. So absolutely need him on the field for Week 6. Hopefully he ditches that red non-contact jersey as the practices get more and more ramped up this week. All right, let's talk about the injury report from Thursday here. As Matt Milano, he did not practice, re-aggravating that pectoral injury. He's likely going to be out here. Sean McDermott deemed him week to week, so we'll see how that all goes. TJ Sanders with the knee injury, he also did not practice. McDermott on Monday did not rule out TJ Sanders for Week 6, but not exactly holding my breath here. We'll see what Buffalo wants to do at the interior of the defensive line. We'll talk about one of those guys in just a moment. Dorian Williams, his knee injury, he is limited on Thursday. Still working back. He did miss the Patriots game in Week 5. So the Bills linebacker core is certainly depleted a little bit here. Got to get Shaq Thompson playing well again. Jimmy Charlo after his 53-man elevation. Joe Andreessen, Terrell Bernard. Like, this is a big game for the linebacking core with Bijan Robinson and how often the Falcons like to run play action to beat you there as well. Dion Dawkins with a hand injury. Limited participant for Dawkins here, and that's just not the greatest news. We'll tell you what exactly he was doing in practice in just a moment, but want to make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel. We're almost at our next milestone of 7,000 subs here on the Bills Breakdown. Less than 100 away. Can 83 diehard members of the Mafia hit that sub button right now for free, informative, entertaining Bills content every single day on YouTube, and so you can join us for our watch parties as well, as we will be live on Monday at 7:15 Eastern Time. Full pregame tailgate of an hour long. We're breaking down the live play-by-play, stats, analysis, and so much more during Bills versus Falcons on Monday Night Football. So join us, subscribe, and turn your notifications on. All right, let's go to this Dion Dawkins practice report here as he and Connor McGovern, who also kind of had a hand injury in this Patriots game in Week 5, they were working and practicing today in limited capacity, but both were working against air in these O-lineman drills. So that's kind of where we're at with Dawkins, but I think he's trending towards playing this week. It was good to see that Connor McGovern did not have any injury designation. We saw the big gash on his hand in Week 5. They were kind of taping and gauing that up, so we'll see. It sounds like the swelling hasn't been anything that's gone in the wrong direction on that front, so good to know at the Bills center position. But Dion Dawkins, really, really going to need him. He's played as like one of the best left tackles in football so far this year, constantly left on an island and constantly not having to be worried about over there. I definitely worry if he is off the roster for this Week 6 matchup against Atlanta. Now, finally, we're going to talk about him. Ed Oliver, limited participant again, and this is crazy, right? Like, he practiced all last week and didn't end up playing against New England. Guess he wasn't all the way ready. He was definitely favoring his ankle in the practice videos that we saw in the lead up to Week 5, but it doesn't seem that way in the lead up to Week 6 here. Shout out to Banged Up Bills for this tweet that they have up, and he says that Oliver still has that ankle taped up, but he's not favoring it as much this week as we saw in the lead up to Week 5. So that's awesome. We saw him working against the sleds there, and it's limited participation, but it really seems like Oliver is gearing up to get back on the football field here for the Bills. This came from his Instagram here. He said, "Somebody go get my belt. I'm ready to F around." Like he's ready to go put belt to ass once again here, as he did in Week 1, making some big plays against Baltimore. Haven't seen him since then, but really, really hoping he can get on the field back again in Week 6. Next, we're going to get into more injury updates as McDermott said those names that we talked about at the top of today's show, and then more names showed up when the Bills' actual injury report came out. We'll talk some injured reserve as well as Keon Coleman responding to his benching in Week 5. That around the corner. First, though, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. It can get you up to 2,000 times your money watching your Buffalo Bills this football season because it's daily fantasy made easy. All you guys got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and you just pick more or less on their projected stats. There's a ton of daily fantasy sports apps that just do the same kind of thing, but Prize Picks is so much better than all the competition because they offer awesome features like stacks. Yes, the only daily fantasy sports app that offers the same player for up to 3 different stat projections. So if you wanted Josh Allen passing yards, Josh Allen rushing yards, Josh Allen touchdowns, you can take it all in the same lineup on Prize Picks. They also offer max discounts with those slash projections by 99% and basically give you guys a green square off the bat. Also, they want to hook new users up with a free $50 in lineups when you use our promo code CLNS. You can see in the bottom right of your screen. You just got to play your first $5 lineup. Don't worry, you don't have to win that lineup to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Here's my lineup for Week 6. I got Bijan Robinson, more than 30.5 receiving yards. Dalton Kincaid, more than 38.5 receiving yards for him. And James Cook to get back on track, more than 76.5 yards on the ground. You can tail my picks or fade them. Just do it at Prize Picks. Download the app today and use the code CLNS for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Alrighty, so it looks like the Bills will not be opening any injured reserve practice windows in Week 6. And look, I'm going to tell you guys right now, it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. But there's one name that we got to focus on here and his ramping back up to getting on the football field for Buffalo, and that's Max Harrison at the cornerback spot. And the practice videos continue to get more and more encouraging here for Harrison. He was working in some backpedaling drills and some overall footwork stuff, and then turning and facing and sprinting and catching a little football, a mock interception there in practice and some individual drills. So it really seems like he's ready to go here. Still wearing the brace, so he's got to ditch that. But it's just great news here for Max Harrison. We all kind of expected this, though. Like, it makes total sense that Harrison's practice window isn't being opened up here. If the Bills opened up the 21-day practice window, which, by the way, you have 21 days to practice, and then you can go back on the football field, and they can activate you at any time during that stretch. But if they were to open that window up now, like, that would be a whole week of practice that would just be obsolete for Harrison here because the Bills aren't practicing. They have their Week 7 bye after this Falcons game. So it looks like to me they're going to try to activate Harrison ahead of the Week 8 game against the Carolina Panthers. Now, Greg Cover 1 kind of outlined what a return would look like for Harrison in that scenario. He says, by my count, the week leading up to Week 8 One to starting Monday, October 20th. The week leading up to week 9, 2 to the 27th. And then the week leading up to week 10, week 3, 11 to 11th, 3rd. Excuse me, November 3rd, I don't know what I'm saying here, are the 3 weeks, 21 days. If they use all 3 weeks, and he'd be activated for week 10 against Miami on November 9th, with the activation happening on Saturday, November 8th. 20 days into the 21-day window before having to doctors to declare him out for the year. So basically, if you don't activate Max Hairston in that 21-day window, he's done. That's it. So basically, if we don't see an activation from Hairston here by week 8, then it doesn't look like he'll be making any real impact for the Bills this upcoming season. Just factor in how much time he's already missed and how much can Sean McDermott trust a guy who's never been out there on an NFL field before. Who knows? I think a lot could be better than what the Bills got at CB2 at this point. Now, some more names on the injury report for Buffalo here that we did not see when I was originally scripting this show and writing this all out is we have Damar Hamlin with a pec injury. He's a limited participant. And the safety room is also banged up in the starting spots as well as Taylor Rapp working with a nose injury. He's a limited participant as well. Don't anticipate any of these guys to be out for this game against the Atlanta Falcons here. Kind of seems like some sore injuries. Curtis Samuel with some neck and ribs. Like, that just seems like he just kind of got beat up in the kick return game in week 5. So don't anticipate any of these guys to be missing, but we will keep you guys updated if that changes. Now, as far as the Falcons' point of view goes, Josh Kendall saying this, one of the best Falcons beat reporters over at The Athletic, said A.J. Terrell will practice, and Raheem Morris said, I feel very good about that moving forward. So looks like he's on track to get ready to return here after suffering an injury earlier this season, missing a couple of games. And doesn't stop there on the boundary for Atlanta, as Darnell Mooney will not practice today and remains day-to-day, Atlanta head coach Raheem Morris said. So the Falcons here dealing with some injuries on the boundary, and could be some good news, could be some bad news for the Bills if either of those two guys are ready to go, because they haven't been able to cover anybody, and they haven't been able to get open as well. So we'll see how the Bills can do as far as how they fare up against man coverage this week. Now let's get to the final thing we got to talk about in today's show. Keon Coleman speaking for the first time to reporters since he was benched in the opening series against New England. It was a disciplinary action from Sean McDermott here after something that happened in practice. And Coleman didn't go into exactly the details of what he did to be disciplined here. He said he's going to keep that in-house, but this is the comment that he had about it. He said, I wouldn't call it a setback. It was a growing pain in a sense. So, yeah, it's frustrating because, you're better than that as a person and an individual. Just being where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to do, and showing that level of maturity. Look, you got to show one of two things as a receiver. You got to show that you're mature, or you got to show some production on the damn football field, and you're not doing either one of those two things right now. Sean McDermott did say this, though. Keon Coleman is going to continue to grow, and we're going to keep doing things the right way. That's how you win. Look, Coleman said that he and McDermott are on the same page, so I believe him, and I believe Josh as well, who had this comment. He said, I trust Zero. I think he understands and knows that at the end of the day, this locker room, this team doesn't ever want to let their teammates down. Look, guys, it's early in the season. I know Coleman had this issue in his rookie year as well, and that's super frustrating. But I do trust that as the season goes along, as Josh continues to get this group in the groove, they're going to be in a much better spot. Mentally, professionally, physically, just all these things all encompassing are going to see a better football team emerge by the end of this regular season and into the postseason as well. So I don't have a ton of worries right now. There's no undefeated teams in football. Nobody's perfect. And the Bills have just as good a chance as anybody to lift that Lombardi trophy when it's all said and done. What do you guys think about Monday, though? Because we can't jump too far ahead. What's your confidence level in a win over Atlanta on Monday? Scale for me down in the comment section, 1 to 100. 1 being no confidence, 100 being the most confidence in the world. It's a lock. Let me know what you guys think down below. As that will do it for today's show. Give me a follow over on Twitter at Tyler J. Smith. 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. YouTube.com/Bills News for the latest and greatest on your Bills all season long. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, let's go, Buffalo.